The latest game that I played it this week. Now, I played it years ago. This game was released in 2005 on the PlayStation 2, Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, yeah.
October of 2005 was the original release.
Mm-hmm.
And it just come out remastered on the PS4. Now, they had an HD version on the PS3 too, but I traded that one in long ago because I knew this one was coming out.
Right.
And this game, I don't know if you've ever played Shadow of the Colossus.
I have not.
You'll see here in a second, there's some gameplay footage that I captured too. This is just like the intro to the game that you're watching.
Right.
The whole point of the game is that you bring your girlfriend to this altar at the very beginning, and she's dead, and you're trying to bring her back to life. I'm just telling like the very short version of the story.
Sure.
You're trying to bring her back to life, and this spirit comes out and says, well, if you want to have the power to bring her back to life, basically there are colossi all over this land, and you have to go and defeat each one of them to be able to have the powers to bring her back to life. So what you do is go through. There's not really levels.
Mm-hmm.
There's one Colossus that you will go and find, and when you run up on him, then you have to figure out how to defeat him.
Right.
And then after you beat that one, you go back to the main temple, and then you'll go find another one and try to beat him. And once you've defeated all of them, then that's the end of the game. You get to go back and try to bring your girl back to life. But this game, a lot of times when I'm talking about virtual reality,
right,
one of the main things is how immersive it is. And I know I always say that. I always repeat that over and over. It's so immersive because you're inside the world. And this game would be a perfect candidate for virtual reality because one of the greatest things in virtual reality is some of these games that have huge dinosaurs. I did a Voltron game, where one of the lions flies up and lands in front of you, and you feel like you're there. It's the coolest thing in the world.
Right.
And this game has these huge colossi that would be so awesome.
Well, what we're looking at is just gorgeous
in virtual
right now.
reality. Yeah, it's a gorgeous game. And remember, this game was originally released on the PS2. Now, it's been remastered. They've probably put some new textures on it and prettied it up. But the thing about this game, a lot of times if you go back and play an old game from 10 or 15 years ago,
mm-hmm,
you have a memory in your head of what it was like when it first came out, and then
right,
you go back and play the Nintendo 64 today. It's ugly.
Yes.
Like it's nothing like you remember it being.
Right.
And this version of the game, I'm sure, looks 10 times better than the original version. But it looks like I remember it. In other words, I can tell that it's not as detailed as a lot of PS4 games that were built on the PS4. But they've done an excellent job at kind of updating everything. You can tell that there's some PS2 models and textures at work here.
Right.
But they've put a nice gloss over it. I mean, it looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're looking at some gameplay footage, and if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you'll see the footage too. And if you're listening to it because you found us on the podcast service, then maybe go over to the YouTube channel and check this out if you want to see it.
OmniGeekCast.
Yeah, we're the OmniGeekCast on YouTube, and we'll tell you again later how to get over there and subscribe to that. But you can see there's the Colossus, and he is so huge. And I mean, just playing it on like a big screen TV is nice, but I just imagine this game kind of reconfigured in first person and standing at the feet of this thing.
That would be good.
and looking up.
Yeah.
I just think that would be awesome.
That would be cool.
Now, the whole point of one of the things that you have to do to defeat these is you have to climb up. They have spots that are. It's the only way to actually do damage is to get to the very spot where you can kind of stab him, and you have to find the spot. Some of them have multiple spots,
right?
But you can kind of see he's got fur and he has some ledges and things. So you have to figure out a way to first get onto the Colossus, and then climb to the place where the spot is where you can stab him and do damage. And each one is different. Each one is like a different puzzle that you're trying to solve.
Oh.
And what you have to do is figure out, like I said, first how to get up on top, and then find all the spots. I cut out some of this. There's a spot where I actually go to finish him off in a second, but you got to find all the spots where you can stab him. Now, there's a game called Robinson: The Journey where it's a VR game and it's in first person, and it has a climbing mechanic to where you pull each trigger on the controller to reach for the next thing that you're trying to grab onto to climb.
Right.
And I was thinking about that. If you made this game first person, then you could use that mechanic to climb, and then it's not like it would ruin the game if you changed it from third person to first person. It would work in first person, but this game is the latest one on my VR wish list. I want this. I want this to be in VR.
I mean, I could see. I think Doom might be a little bit easier to do something like that because it's already a PvP shooter.
And any game that's first person, or I did one on light gun games.
Right.
That's kind of ready made for VR. But I feel like this would work. You'd have to tinker with the mechanics a little bit to get it to work in first person, but I think they could do it. And I think it would be amazing. Now, the company that developed this game developed The Last Guardian, and it's the beast in The Last Guardian is called Trico. It's not nearly as big as the Colossi, but they made a demo that's just a VR demo where you kind of play around with Trico, and just having that thing in your face.
Right.
Like I said, anything like that is amazing to get to see these huge, whether it's dinosaurs or the AT-AT in the Star Wars game.
Oh, yeah.
You see it just walk by in front of you. Yeah. Those things are amazing in VR. And that's why I think this game would be perfect for VR.
You won.